It's official. The Roman Reigns situation in WWE has officially reached nuclear levels, and what we're about to reveal will absolutely devastate everything you thought you knew about the Tribal Chief's mysterious absence. This isn't just another wrestling storyline gone wrong. This is a catastrophic behind-the-scenes meltdown that's threatening to destroy WWE's entire foundation. And the shocking truth involves Hollywood betrayals, backstage power struggles, and a cover-up so massive that even Vince McMahon's inner circle is reportedly in full panic mode. Sources close to the situation are calling this the most devastating crisis WWE has faced since the Monday Night Wars. And insiders claim the real story behind Roman's disappearance is so explosive that multiple executives have allegedly threatened to quit if the truth ever goes public. We're talking about career-ending revelations, reputation-destroying evidence, and industry-shaking consequences that could permanently alter the landscape of professional wrestling forever. Here's where it gets absolutely nuclear. What started as a simple storyline write-off after Clash in Paris has spiraled into an unprecedented corporate nightmare that has WWE's board of directors holding emergency meetings at 3 a.m. Multiple sources confirm that Roman's Hollywood commitments aren't just conflicting with his WWE schedule, they're allegedly part of a calculated power play that's left Triple H feeling completely betrayed, and Heyman reportedly considering walking away from the company entirely. The controversy bomb that's about to drop involves secret contracts, broken promises, and a web of deception so twisted that even longtime WWE insiders are calling it the most shocking betrayal in company history. Documents obtained exclusively by our sources reveal that Roman's Street Fighter movie deal wasn't just approved by WWE, it was allegedly negotiated behind closed doors with terms so favorable to Roman that other top stars are now demanding similar treatment, threatening to create a domino effect that could collapse WWE's entire talent structure. But that's not even the most devastating part. People familiar with the inner workings of WWE's executive suite claim that Roman's absence has exposed a power vacuum so dangerous that the company's stock price has become directly tied to speculation about his return. We're talking about billions of dollars in market value hanging in the balance, with investors reportedly losing confidence in WWE's ability to maintain its momentum without their biggest star. Witnesses to recent backstage meetings describe scenes of absolute chaos, with creative team members allegedly breaking down in tears over the impossible task of filling the Roman-sized hole in their programming. One insider told us, "It's like trying to replace the sun. Everything else just looks dim by comparison." The ripple effects are so severe that multiple storylines have been completely scrapped, and several wrestlers have reportedly requested releases rather than deal with the uncertainty. The credibility of these claims comes from multiple independent sources who have provided us with exclusive footage, internal documents, and recorded conversations that paint a picture of a company in absolute freefall. These aren't tabloid rumors or internet speculation. We're talking about verified information from people who risk their careers by speaking out. The evidence is so damning that WWE's legal team has allegedly issued cease and desist orders to prevent certain details from going public. What makes this situation even more explosive is that Roman himself reportedly has no idea how badly his absence is affecting the company. Sources claim he's been deliberately kept in the dark about the financial implications and backstage chaos, with his inner circle allegedly creating a bubble of false security around him while WWE burns behind the scenes. If you're already hooked by this insanity, smash that hype button because this story gets 10x more explosive. The community has been absolutely going wild in the comments, with thousands of you demanding the full truth about what's really happening behind WWE's closed doors. Your hype points are literally helping us fund these deep dive investigations that expose the stories mainstream wrestling media won't touch. The internet has turned into a battlefield over this situation, with fans split between those demanding Roman's immediate return and others claiming his era of dominance has already run its course. But what nobody realizes is that the real battle isn't happening in comment sections. It's happening in WWE's boardroom, where executives are reportedly at war over how to handle the most expensive mistake in company history. Let's rewind to the beginning and understand how we got to this unprecedented crisis that's threatening to tear WWE apart from the inside. The Roman Reigns story didn't start with his recent Hollywood ventures. It began years ago when WWE made the calculated decision to build their entire empire around one man, creating a dependency so complete that his absence would expose just how fragile their foundation really was. Roman's journey to becoming the undisputed face of WWE wasn't accidental. It was the result of a systematic campaign that began the moment The Rock's Hollywood career took off, and WWE realized they needed a new crossover star. Multiple sources confirm that Vince McMahon personally handpicked Roman as his successor, investing millions in his development and protection, creating what insiders now call the Roman Reigns insurance policy, a business model so dependent on one performer that his departure would trigger a company-wide crisis. The transformation from Joe Anoa'i to Roman Reigns wasn't just a character change, it was a corporate restructuring that saw WWE's entire creative direction, marketing strategy, and financial projections built around maintaining Roman's dominance. Documents obtained by our investigation reveal that Roman's contract includes unprecedented creative control clauses, profit-sharing agreements, and scheduling flexibility that essentially made him a partner rather than an employee. But here's what nobody saw coming. The very protections WWE built around Roman to keep him happy would eventually become the weapons used to hold the company hostage. Sources close to the negotiation process claim that Roman's team, led by Paul Heyman's behind-the-scenes maneuvering, systematically accumulated so much power that WWE became unable to function without their cooperation. The character introductions in this drama read like a corporate thriller. At the center, you have Roman Reigns himself, a performer who evolved from being the most hated wrestler in the company to its most valuable asset, but sources claim the power went to his head in ways that would make even The Rock blush. Multiple insiders describe a transformation from grateful company man to demanding superstar who allegedly views WWE as a stepping stone rather than a destination. Then there's Paul Heyman, the mastermind who many credit with Roman's character transformation, but who insiders now claim has been playing a much deeper game. Sources familiar with Heyman's strategy sessions describe him as the puppet master who convinced WWE to give Roman everything he wanted while secretly preparing his exit strategy. The relationship between Heyman and Roman has reportedly become so intertwined that WWE executives fear losing both if the situation explodes. Triple H emerges as the tragic figure in this story, the man who inherited control of WWE's creative direction only to discover that his biggest star was already planning his escape. People close to Triple H describe him as feeling completely betrayed by Roman's Hollywood pivot, especially since he allegedly restructured entire storylines around Roman's long-term commitment to the company. The supporting cast includes a roster of wrestlers who've been living in Roman's shadow, waiting for their moment to shine, only to discover that WWE's entire system is so Roman-dependent that his absence creates chaos rather than opportunity. Sources claim that multiple top performers have expressed frustration that the company seems incapable of elevating anyone else to Roman's level. The timeline of events leading to this crisis reveals a pattern of escalating demands and broken promises that reads like a masterclass in corporate manipulation. It started innocently enough. Roman's initial requests for reduced schedules and creative input seemed reasonable for a top performer. But sources claim each concession led to bigger demands, creating a cycle where WWE kept giving Roman more power to prevent him from leaving. The Street Fighter movie opportunity wasn't just another acting gig. It was reportedly the culmination of a long-term strategy to establish Roman as a legitimate Hollywood star while maintaining his WWE income. Multiple sources confirm that the movie deal was negotiated with terms so favorable that other wrestlers are now demanding similar treatment, threatening to create a precedent that could bankrupt the company. The Clash in Paris beatdown that wrote Roman off television wasn't just a storyline decision. It was allegedly a desperate attempt by WWE's creative team to buy time while they figured out how to handle Roman's increasingly impossible demands. Sources claim the angle was designed to protect Roman's character while giving WWE flexibility to extend his absence indefinitely if negotiations went badly. But what WWE didn't anticipate was how quickly the absence would expose their over-reliance on Roman. Within weeks of his departure, ratings began fluctuating wildly, storylines felt directionless, and the entire roster seemed to shrink in his absence. The company that had spent years building Roman as irreplaceable discovered they had succeeded too well. They literally couldn't function without him. The first warning signs everyone missed were hiding in plain sight, but WWE's executives were so focused on protecting their investment in Roman that they ignored the red flags that should have triggered immediate intervention. Sources claim that Roman's team began making increasingly unreasonable demands months before his official absence, testing WWE's willingness to accommodate their star at any cost. The Hollywood meetings that led to the Street Fighter deal reportedly began without WWE's knowledge, with Roman's representatives secretly negotiating terms that would conflict with his wrestling commitments. Multiple insiders claim that WWE only learned about the movie deal after contracts were already signed, leaving them with no choice but to accommodate Roman's schedule or risk losing him entirely. The most telling warning sign was Roman's alleged change in attitude during creative meetings. Sources describe a performer who went from collaborative team player to demanding superstar who would allegedly reject storylines that didn't meet his approval. One insider claimed, "It was like watching someone realize they held all the cards and deciding to play them all at once." But here's where it gets absolutely nuclear, and what we're about to reveal will completely shatter everything WWE has told the public about Roman's absence. Multiple sources with direct access to WWE's executive communications have provided us with explosive evidence that Roman's Hollywood venture wasn't just approved by the company, it was allegedly part of a secret agreement that gives Roman unprecedented control over his WWE career, including the right to dictate his own schedule, storylines, and even which wrestlers he's willing to work with. The documents we've obtained paint a picture of a company so desperate to keep Roman happy that they essentially signed away their own creative control. Sources claim the agreement includes clauses that allow Roman to veto any storyline he doesn't like, demand rewrites of entire shows, and even influence hiring and firing decisions for wrestlers and creative team members. We're talking about a level of power that even The Rock never had during his peak years. But the most devastating revelation is what this agreement means for WWE's other top performers. Multiple sources confirm that wrestlers like Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, and even part-time legends like Brock Lesnar have been kept in the dark about the extent of Roman's control, leading to situations where they've unknowingly had their own storylines altered or canceled to accommodate Roman's preferences. The detailed breakdown of this shocking truth reveals a systematic dismantling of WWE's traditional power structure that began the moment Roman embraced the tribal chief character. Sources claim that Paul Heyman, acting as Roman's advocate, convinced WWE executives that Roman's success was so crucial to the company's future that any demands he made should be considered reasonable investments in their biggest asset. The Street Fighter movie deal serves as the perfect example of how this system works in practice. Rather than Roman requesting permission to pursue outside projects, sources claim he simply informed WWE that he would be taking time off to film the movie, leaving the company scrambling to create storylines that would accommodate his absence. The Clash in Paris beatdown wasn't creative genius, it was damage control. What makes this situation even more explosive is that Roman's team allegedly negotiated these terms during WWE's most vulnerable period, when the company was transitioning from Vince McMahon's leadership to Triple H's creative control. Sources claim that Roman's representatives took advantage of the chaos to secure concessions that no performer in WWE history has ever received. The financial implications are staggering. Documents suggest that Roman's deal includes profit-sharing arrangements that essentially make him a partner in WWE's success, meaning his absence doesn't just hurt the company creatively, it literally costs him money, creating a perverse incentive structure where Roman benefits from WWE's dependence on him, while having the freedom to pursue outside opportunities. The immediate reactions and fallout from these revelations have reportedly sent shockwaves through WWE's entire corporate structure. Sources claim that several board members were completely unaware of the extent of Roman's control until his absence began affecting the company's performance, leading to emergency meetings where executives allegedly demanded explanations from Triple H and other decision-makers. The creative team's response has been particularly devastating. Multiple sources describe writers and producers breaking down during meetings as they realize the impossible position they've been placed in, trying to create compelling television while their biggest star holds veto power over any downed storyline that doesn't serve his interests. One insider claimed, "It's like trying to write a movie where the lead actor can change the script whenever he wants." The roster's reaction has been equally explosive, with several top performers reportedly demanding meetings with management to discuss their own contract situations. Sources claim that wrestlers who previously accepted their positions in Roman's shadow are now questioning why they don't have similar protections and freedoms, threatening to create a domino effect that could destabilize WWE's entire talent structure. The social media explosion analysis reveals the true scope of this crisis. Within hours of Roman's absence becoming noticeable, wrestling Twitter erupted with speculation and theories that came surprisingly close to the truth. Fans began connecting dots that WWE hoped would remain hidden, creating a grassroots investigation that forced the company into damage control mode. Your hype points are literally helping us fund more investigations like this. Hit that button if you want us to keep digging deeper. The response from our community has been absolutely incredible, with thousands of you sharing your own insider knowledge and theories that have helped us piece together this explosive story. The mainstream wrestling media's silence on these revelations speaks volumes about the pressure WWE has applied to keep this story buried. Sources claim that several major wrestling news outlets have been contacted by WWE's legal team and warned against reporting on Roman's contract situation, creating an information vacuum that we're now filling with the truth. The internet turned into detectives the moment Roman's absence began affecting WWE's weekly programming, and what the wrestling community uncovered through their grassroots investigation has been absolutely mind-blowing. Fans began analyzing everything from Roman's social media activity to WWE's stock price fluctuations, creating a comprehensive timeline that exposed the company's desperate attempts to hide the true scope of their crisis. Reddit threads dedicated to tracking Roman's whereabouts became treasure troves of information, with users sharing screenshots of deleted tweets, analyzing the timing of WWE's creative decisions, and even tracking private jet flights that might indicate secret meetings between Roman's team and WWE executives. The level of detective work has been so thorough that several fans have reportedly uncovered information that mainstream wrestling journalists missed entirely. Multiple insider sources and leaked evidence have painted a picture of a company in absolute chaos behind the scenes. We've obtained exclusive footage from backstage areas showing WWE executives in heated discussions, creative team members looking visibly stressed during meetings, and even security camera footage that allegedly shows Paul Heyman having tense conversations with Triple H about Roman's situation. The leaked documents we've reviewed include internal emails discussing the Roman problem, budget projections showing the financial impact of his absence, and even draft press releases that were prepared but never sent, suggesting WWE has been planning multiple different approaches to handling this crisis, depending on how negotiations with Roman's team progress. One particularly explosive piece of evidence includes recorded phone conversations between WWE executives discussing whether they should publicly blame Roman for the company's creative struggles or continue protecting him while hoping for his return. The conversations reveal a level of desperation and confusion that contradicts WWE's public statements about being confident in their roster depth. Audio recordings obtained from backstage areas capture conversations between wrestlers expressing frustration about the situation, with several top performers allegedly questioning whether they should demand similar treatment or consider leaving the company entirely. The recordings paint a picture of a locker room in turmoil, with morale at an all-time low. Behind the scenes, power struggles have reportedly reached nuclear levels, with different factions within WWE's corporate structure blaming each other for creating the Roman dependency that's now threatening the company's stability. Sources claim that Triple H and Paul Heyman, once close allies, have had several heated confrontations about Roman's situation, with Heyman allegedly defending Roman's right to pursue outside opportunities, while Triple H argues that Roman is abandoning his responsibilities to the company. The power struggle extends to WWE's board of directors, where sources claim several members are questioning whether the company's leadership made a catastrophic mistake by giving Roman so much control. Emergency board meetings have reportedly become regular occurrences, with executives demanding explanations for why the company's most valuable asset is being allowed to hold them hostage. Nick Khan, WWE's president, has allegedly found himself caught in the middle of this power struggle, trying to balance the company's financial interests with the creative team's needs while managing Roman's increasingly complex demands. Sources claim Khan has been working around the clock to find a solution that satisfies all parties, but the situation has become so complicated that even he is reportedly considering whether WWE needs to cut ties with Roman entirely. Financial and legal implications revealed through our investigation show that this crisis extends far beyond creative challenges. We're talking about potential contract violations, breach of fiduciary duty claims, and even possible securities fraud if WWE has been misleading investors about their dependence on Roman. Legal experts who reviewed the documents we obtained suggest that Roman's contract situation could expose WWE to massive liability if shareholders decide to sue over the company's failure to disclose material risks. The financial impact is already visible in WWE's quarterly reports, where subtle language changes suggest the company is preparing investors for potential revenue fluctuations related to talent availability issues. Sources claim that WWE's accounting team has been working overtime to model different scenarios for Roman's return, with projections showing that an extended absence could cost the company hundreds of millions in lost revenue. But that's not even the most shocking part of this unfolding disaster. What we've discovered next will absolutely blow your mind and completely reframe everything you thought you knew about Roman's relationship with WWE. Sources with direct access to Roman's inner circle have revealed that his Hollywood venture isn't just about pursuing acting opportunities, it's allegedly part of a calculated exit strategy designed to establish his independence from WWE while maintaining maximum leverage over the company. The Street Fighter movie deal was reportedly structured specifically to test WWE's willingness to accommodate Roman's outside interests, serving as a trial run for even bigger Hollywood projects that would require longer absences from wrestling. Multiple sources confirm that Roman's team has been quietly meeting with major studios and production companies, exploring opportunities that would make his WWE income seem insignificant by comparison. New evidence emerges that suggests Roman's absence isn't temporary. It's the beginning of a gradual transition away from full-time wrestling that could leave WWE permanently weakened. Documents obtained through our investigation reveal that Roman's representatives have been negotiating with streaming services and movie studios for projects that would span multiple years, making his return to regular WWE programming increasingly unlikely. The most explosive piece of new evidence includes recorded conversations where Roman allegedly discusses his frustration with WWE's creative direction and his desire to pull a rock by using wrestling as a launching pad for mainstream success. Sources claim these recordings capture Roman expressing doubts about whether WWE can provide him with the platform he needs to achieve his Hollywood ambitions. Internal WWE communications we've obtained show executives discussing contingency plans for Roman's permanent departure, including potential storylines that would write him out of WWE continuity entirely. The fact that these discussions are happening suggests that WWE's leadership is preparing for the possibility that Roman may never return to full-time wrestling. Key players' desperate responses to this crisis have been absolutely devastating to witness. Triple H has reportedly been making personal appeals to Roman, trying to convince him that his legacy in wrestling is more important than any Hollywood success he might achieve. Sources claim these conversations have become increasingly emotional, with Triple H allegedly pleading with Roman to consider the impact his departure would have on the entire wrestling industry. Paul Heyman's response has been equally dramatic, with sources claiming he's been torn between his loyalty to Roman and his responsibility to WWE. Multiple insiders describe Heyman as being in an impossible position, trying to advocate for Roman's interests while watching the company that gave him his biggest opportunity slowly crumble without their biggest star. The roster's response has evolved from frustration to outright panic, with several wrestlers reportedly requesting meetings with management to discuss their own futures. Sources claim that performers who were counting on Roman's eventual return to stabilize the company are now making backup plans, including exploring opportunities with other promotions. Public opinion shifts dramatically as more details about Roman's situation become public. Wrestling fans who once demanded his return are now questioning whether they want someone back who allegedly views WWE as beneath his ambitions. Social media sentiment has shifted from "we need Roman back" to "maybe WWE is better off without him," representing a seismic change in how the wrestling community views their former tribal chief. This is the kind of content that changes industries. Show your support by hyping this video so more people see what's really happening. The wrestling world needs to understand the full scope of this crisis, and your engagement helps us continue exposing the truth that mainstream media won't touch. The shift in public opinion has been so dramatic that WWE's social media team has reportedly been instructed to avoid mentioning Roman entirely, fearing that any reference to him will trigger negative reactions from fans who feel betrayed by his alleged abandonment of the company. This isn't just about Roman Reigns anymore. What we're witnessing is a fundamental shift in the power dynamics of professional wrestling that could permanently alter how the entire industry operates. The Roman crisis has exposed vulnerabilities in WWE's business model that other promotions are already beginning to exploit, creating a domino effect that threatens to reshape the competitive landscape of sports entertainment. AEW executives have reportedly been monitoring WWE's Roman situation closely, with sources claiming they're preparing to capitalize on any roster instability that might result from the crisis. Multiple wrestlers currently under WWE contract have allegedly been approached by AEW representatives who are using WWE's Roman dependency as evidence that the company can't provide long-term stability for its performers. The ripple effects extend beyond just wrestling promotions. Sources claim that major sponsors and television networks are beginning to question WWE's ability to maintain consistent programming quality without Roman, leading to renegotiations of existing deals and hesitation about future commitments. The financial implications could be catastrophic if WWE loses major partnerships due to their over-reliance on one performer. Industry-wide panic and changes have already begun, as other wrestling companies scramble to avoid creating their own Roman Reigns problem. Sources within AEW, Impact Wrestling, and even smaller promotions report that executives are implementing new policies to prevent any single performer from gaining too much control over creative decisions or scheduling. The panic has reached such levels that several wrestling schools and developmental territories have reportedly begun teaching courses on sustainable star development, focusing on building multiple main event performers, rather than putting all resources behind one chosen talent. The Roman crisis has become a cautionary tale that's being studied throughout the industry. Television executives who work with wrestling promotions have allegedly begun demanding contractual guarantees about talent availability, fearing that they could face their own version of the Roman situation if they become too dependent on any single performer. These changes could fundamentally alter how wrestling contracts are structured across the entire industry. Other celebrities and figures affected by this crisis extend far beyond the wrestling world. Hollywood agents who represent wrestlers have reportedly become much more aggressive in pursuing crossover opportunities for their clients, using Roman's situation as proof that wrestlers can successfully leverage their wrestling fame for mainstream success. The Rock himself has allegedly been contacted by WWE executives seeking advice on how to handle the Roman situation, given his own successful transition from wrestling to Hollywood. Sources claim The Rock has been diplomatically avoiding taking sides, but his silence speaks volumes about the complexity of the situation. Even non-wrestling celebrities have begun commenting on the situation, with several actors and musicians expressing surprise at how much power one wrestler apparently has over a major corporation. The Roman crisis has become a case study in celebrity leverage that's being discussed in entertainment industry circles far beyond wrestling. Cultural and social implications of this crisis extend into broader conversations about worker rights, corporate power structures, and the changing nature of entertainment careers. Labor advocates have pointed to Roman's situation as an example of how talented individuals can successfully negotiate for better working conditions and creative control, while corporate analysts warn about the dangers of giving any employee too much power over business operations. The situation has sparked debates about whether Roman's alleged behavior represents smart business negotiation or selfish abandonment of responsibilities. Social media discussions have evolved into broader conversations about loyalty, ambition, and the changing expectations of modern entertainers. Academic researchers studying sports entertainment have begun analyzing the Roman crisis as a potential turning point in how wrestling companies manage their top talent. Several universities have reportedly begun developing case studies based on WWE's Roman dependency, using it as an example of both successful star development and catastrophic risk management failure. Where everyone stands now in this unprecedented crisis reads like a corporate thriller with no clear resolution in sight. Roman Reigns remains in Hollywood, reportedly focused on his Street Fighter filming while maintaining radio silence about his WWE future. Sources close to his camp describe him as completely focused on his movie career and allegedly unconcerned about the chaos his absence has created back in WWE. WWE's executive team is reportedly in constant crisis management mode, with daily meetings focused on damage control and contingency planning. Triple H has allegedly been working 18-hour days trying to restructure storylines and rebuild the company's creative direction without their biggest star, while simultaneously preparing for multiple scenarios regarding Roman's potential return. The wrestling roster exists in a state of uncertainty that sources describe as toxic to morale. Performers who were counting on Roman's return to stabilize storylines are now making backup plans, while others are allegedly trying to position themselves as potential replacements for Roman's spot at the top of the card. Latest developments and updates continue to paint a picture of a situation spiraling further out of control. Within the past week, sources claim that Roman's representatives have been in contact with Netflix about potential exclusive content deals that would conflict directly with WWE's own streaming partnerships. The implications of such a deal would be devastating to WWE's relationship with their streaming partners. WWE's stock price has become increasingly volatile, with analysts directly linking fluctuations to speculation about Roman's return. The company's quarterly earnings calls have reportedly become exercises in creative language, as executives try to address investor concerns without revealing the full scope of their Roman dependency. Behind-the-scenes footage obtained by our sources shows WWE's creative team in various states of stress and exhaustion as they attempt to create compelling television without their biggest draw. Multiple writers have reportedly requested transfers to other projects, citing the impossible working conditions created by Roman's absence. Ongoing legal and professional consequences continue to mount as this crisis extends into its second month. WWE's legal team has reportedly been working around the clock to review Roman's contract for any clauses that might give them leverage in negotiations, while simultaneously preparing for potential breach of contract claims if the situation deteriorates further. Several major sponsors have allegedly begun including key talent availability clauses in their WWE contracts, protecting themselves from future situations where the company's biggest star might suddenly become unavailable. These changes could cost WWE millions in future sponsorship deals and set precedents that affect the entire wrestling industry. The professional consequences extend to WWE's relationships with television networks, streaming services, and international partners who are all reportedly questioning the company's ability to deliver consistent programming without Roman. Sources claim that several major deals are being renegotiated with less favorable terms due to concerns about WWE's stability. We're about to reveal the most shocking part, but first, if this expose has blown your mind, give it the hype it deserves. The final revelations we're about to share will completely change how you view this entire situation, and your support helps us continue bringing you the truth that mainstream wrestling media refuses to report. The ongoing drama has reached such levels that sources claim WWE's board of directors is considering whether they need to make fundamental changes to how the company operates, potentially including policies that would prevent any single performer from gaining the level of control that Roman apparently achieved. What's coming next in this unprecedented crisis could determine not just Roman Reigns' future, but the entire trajectory of WWE as a company. Multiple sources with knowledge of ongoing negotiations suggest that we're approaching a critical decision point where Roman will either commit to a long-term WWE future or officially begin his transition to full-time Hollywood work, leaving WWE to rebuild their entire business model around his absence. The Street Fighter movie's success or failure could be the determining factor in Roman's decision-making process. If the film performs well and establishes Roman as a legitimate Hollywood star, sources claim he may never return to full-time wrestling. However, if the movie disappoints, WWE executives are reportedly prepared to use that failure as leverage to bring Roman back under more restrictive terms. Industry insiders predict that regardless of Roman's decision, WWE will be forced to implement new policies, preventing any single performer from gaining similar levels of control in the future. These changes could fundamentally alter how wrestling contracts are structured and how companies develop their top stars, creating ripple effects throughout the entire industry. The financial implications of Roman's decision will extend far beyond WWE's immediate revenue concerns. If Roman successfully transitions to Hollywood, it could inspire other top wrestlers to pursue similar paths, potentially creating a talent exodus that would destabilize multiple wrestling promotions simultaneously. Unresolved mysteries and questions continue to multiply as this crisis deepens. The biggest mystery remains Roman's true intentions. Is his Hollywood venture a genuine career pivot, or is it an elaborate negotiating tactic designed to extract even more concessions from WWE? Sources close to both sides claim that even Roman's inner circle isn't entirely certain of his long-term plans. Another unresolved question involves Paul Heyman's role in this situation. Multiple sources suggest that Heyman may have been playing a deeper game than anyone realized, potentially positioning himself as the architect of Roman's exit strategy while maintaining plausible deniability about his involvement in the crisis. The mystery of how WWE allowed this situation to develop remains unsolved, with different sources providing conflicting accounts of who was responsible for giving Roman so much power. Some blame Vince McMahon's original vision for Roman, while others point to Triple H's creative team for failing to establish proper boundaries. Potential future revelations could make this already explosive story even more shocking. Sources hint that Roman's contract situation may be just the tip of the iceberg, with other top WWE performers potentially having similar arrangements that haven't been disclosed publicly. If true, WWE could be facing multiple Roman Reigns problems simultaneously. There are also whispers about potential legal action from various parties affected by this crisis. Shareholders, other wrestlers, and even television partners could potentially file lawsuits if they believe WWE has been negligent in managing their business relationships or has failed to disclose material risks to investors. The possibility of Roman's permanent departure from WWE could trigger a series of revelations about the company's internal operations that have been kept secret for years. Sources suggest that Roman's exit could lead to tell-all interviews, leaked documents, and insider accounts that would expose decades of WWE's business practices. Final community engagement and subscription drive. This story is far from over, and we need your continued support to keep investigating and reporting the truth that mainstream wrestling media won't touch. The Roman Reigns crisis represents a fundamental shift in how the wrestling industry operates, and understanding its full implications requires the kind of deep-dive journalism that only independent creators can provide. Your hype points and engagement have been absolutely crucial in helping us uncover the truth about this situation. Every time you share this content, comment with your own insights, or support our investigations, you're helping expose the reality behind WWE's carefully constructed public image. The wrestling community deserves to know the full truth about how their favorite company operates, and your continued support ensures we can keep digging deeper into stories like this. Subscribe and hit that notification bell because this Roman Reigns situation is going to continue developing, and we'll be here to bring you every shocking revelation as it unfolds. The future of WWE, the wrestling industry, and Roman Reigns himself hangs in the balance, and the decisions made in the coming weeks could reshape sports entertainment forever. Stay tuned because this story is just getting started, and the most explosive revelations may still be ahead of us.